went to the license office and applied, and I went through the normal procedure. It took 3 months to get my license, my driver's license, but that very day I went for the driver's. I went in the morning, so I was lucky to join those going for the driving test that day, and I joined them. There were about 5 of us in the car. So when one person drives with the instructor, with the instructor, so you drive to a point, another person will try and continue. They look out for basic things when you drive in. It's not really how you cruise on the road, but they look out for basic things like how you use your mirrors when you're starting the ignition, whether you check that your gear is on free, you step on the clutch to make sure that you've freed the gear and all that. So basic, very simple things.
I have a friend, a customs officer, so I gave my particulars to him and he processed it for me.
I went through the right process. I went to this place, license office, acquire my forms and fill it, and they give me time to come back. So when I went, we went to test, then I passed. They issue my license for me. That's how I get my license.
Around 1991, I went there and the officer told me, "Do you know driving?" I said, "Yes." I said, "Okay." Asked me about the money, then I pay, and I didn't go test that day. It's true, I didn't go test. Only I paid the money, and the next day I go for my license.
I went there personally to the office. When I got there, at least I went to the office and they told me to deliver something, the money. They gave me the amount, but the process was when you want it fast, then means you have to add additional money. But if you want it as the usual thing, then you have to pay the usual money. Then you wait for at least some 6 months, getting to 1 year before you get your license.
Welcome back. I told you we're going to see the experts. No other person but Mr. Abraham Tete from the DVLA office. He's going to teach us. Take your pen and your paper. So let's go straight to the man inside DVLA, Abraham Tete, and he will teach us the normal procedure. Pet 2x4 go and learn so you know your left and right. Let's go.
The processes one go through before he gets driver's license. The person must present himself with 4 passport size pictures, and he's issued with a learner's license. You know, you have to learn to drive legally, and therefore the authority issues a learner's driver's license to prospective applicants after going through the eye test to see whether your sight is good. The officer will chat with you and see whether you have a sound mind. There are some clients, when you start asking them questions on there, they flare up, and that will inform you as to the condition in which that gentleman is. We can DVLA or the authority can refuse issuing the license on appearance and then on conduct. So these are the issues. Then when you are identified, now we have a one-stop shop. We have a banking hall. You go to the banking hall to pay. For learner's license, for now it costs 65 Ghana cedis. And what is involved, we give you the eye test form, we give you the learner's license, we give you the driving license form, we give you a highway code and a learner's plate. Most of you see people who are learning to drive with the L plate behind their car. They will give you a learner's plate to drive. And then the officer will sign your learner's license for you. And then we give you a date to come for the written test, of which you must have 70% before we proceed to the next stage. And for now, it's a computer based.
This is the first place to be when acquiring a car license, I would say a driver's license. Mr. Abraham Tete here will take us through. Sir.
Your picture is endorsed, and then you present your picture to the bankers, the cashiers and they'll give you a sundry receipt, which is used for all activities.
Okay, so after this, what next?
After this, you fill your form, and then you go to where you are captured and given an appointment for the test. So we'll go to that point.
Okay.
Let's go.
I learned from the banking hall, this is the next stage. What do you really do over here?
We do online registration for applicants who are coming here for driving license. So specifically, this room will register you on online by putting your data into the system to ensure that the day that you are given for the written test, your name will be at the written test center. You go there, you put your PIN number into the system, your reference number into the system, then your information will pop up with your pictures and everything. Then the supervisor over there will come and assess whatever information on the screen and the paper, and you'll be allowed to write the exams.
Okay, viewers. So you heard it all from the man. You come, take a seat quietly over here. After you've been to the banking hall, this is the next stage to be. You take your seat, they take a picture, they fill it over here. He processes it from his PC. I'm working with them now. It's still Car Care, and I'm your host, Sandy. Thank you very much for receiving me here, and thank you for your time and explaining things to us. Okay, so we are entering the exam, so don't make too much noise, just follow me.
People here are now taking their written tests, and we have two supervisors managing them, and they are behind their computers and they are answering the questions.
Okay, so this is how it goes. You enter. It was shikaka. It's more like the BC, waxy, whatever you might call it. But this is computer. I see people, of course, the room is cold, and this is how it goes. Candidate's name, reference number. Yeah, you talk of reference number. So this is what they have here, right? So you have it on your paper. It shows up here. That is what you are going to use.
Your picture will pop up. Okay. You are identified as an actual person.
Okay. Do you face any difficulties with invigilating them?
Yes, sometimes. People who come in, sometimes they have the perception that we feel people here. But when you explain it to them that there is no human interference with their results, what you get, once you click on finish test, complete test, your results pops up. So nobody is sitting anywhere to mark your questions. When you explain it to them that way, some of them understand, but there are a few who still feels they've done the right thing, but they are getting it wrong, because that's what they do on the road.
Okay, so you just heard it from him. It's very simple. You come here, nobody's going to mark it or fail you. You come sit behind your PC, and your PC is going to determine your license. So being a license and that's it's still hard here. Thank you very much for explaining things to us.
It's a serious crime to drive without license, and you'll be jailed or fined if you are found driving without license. It's a serious issue.
We're going to compare a BMW S5 with VW Touareg. I'd like to start with the S5. Now, S5 from 98 to 2006 have the same transmission. Be it petrol or diesel, they all have what you call 5L40E, manufactured by General Motors, GM. Now, this type of transmission in the S5 was first found in Cadillac. It was actually manufactured for Cadillac before BMW started using it on the S5. Now, it's a 5-speed with a 40-ton capacity. That's why it's called 5L40E. The E always stands for electronic. It's a very powerful transmission. I put it on the motorway several times, and I could do, the engine gives me 3,000, I can get about 140, 145 kilometer. That means that even in overdrive, I can get about 1 to 0.80, 85. There are little problems with the transmission, and most of the commonest of them is the overheating of the torque converter. What happens is that there's a valve in the transmission cooler, which usually gets blocked. And when it gets blocked, there's no flow. And when there's no flow to the torque converter, the torque converter burns out. It's a very common problem with them. And if you build the transmission without paying attention to that particular part, you're going to keep on getting the same problem all the time. So normally what you do after reconfiguring the transmission, you change the torque converter and then change the cooler as well. And where the cooler is fitted, sometimes, if you are not expert, you won't be able to see that goes into the transmission. The torque is fine, the kickdown is fine. In fact, it was one of those first transmissions which gives what you call shift fail. So you won't feel that it's shifting. You only feel the shift fail on the cluster. You see the engine going down and the transmission going up, but you actually have a shift fail. The shift is so perfect, so fantastic. Now you talk about the Touareg, which is already 6-speed since 2002 or 2003 by Asian Warner. Very powerful transmission, and you can compare that with the 6-speed of the S5. The difference is that the ZF 6-speed looks a little bit smoother than the Touareg, because the Touareg hasn't got the TCM immersed in the oil. It's right in the engine compartment. So it's difficult to pick little problems in the transmission. The fact that the TCM is immersed in the oil makes it a little bit faster, because it also makes it less wiring diagram. Now with the Touareg 6-speed is manufactured by Asian Warner. It's called 09D. Then it's not only found in Touareg, it's also found in Q7 as well as Porsche Cayenne. They have the same transmission. The only difference is that when the inside is bigger, you can see that the bailout is bigger or the torque converter is bigger. But it's all have the same code, 09D. That's the code. The code doesn't change irrespective of engine size. Now, the Warner transmission, in the Touareg, has serious problem with valve body, serious problem with fifth and second gear. That is to say that because it's 6-speed and inside the trunk there are only 5 clutch packs. That means one clutch is controlled by 2 gears. Now, the clutch that controls second gear, the same that clutch that controls the 5th gear, and that particular cylinder has a very weak spring in it. So when that spring gets weaker, it affects the second gear. Once it affects the second, it will also affect the 5th gear, because that clutch is for 2 gears. That is for another, we all know. We deal with that all the time. Another thing is that it has a very bad valve body. Once it gets hot, the valve body gets worn. You can start to feel hard shift, especially throughout the gear. Very, very hard shift. It's also known to have a very bad propeller shaft, as well as carding shaft. They call it in Ghana 4x4 shaft. It's actually a carding shaft. So if you put a S5 down and put Touareg down, depending on what transmission is in there. If the S5 is 5-speed, then I'll go for the Touareg 6-speed. If the Touareg is 5-speed, you give me the S5 with the 6-speed, then I can go for the 6 speed. And for the 7 and 8, it's up to you to make up your whether you want 8 speed, 8 good speed transmission, or you want a 7 speed from the Touareg with a separate manual transmission attached to it. The choice is yours.